right, guys, here we are again for another episode. Donnie's here. Sorry for my voice, you guys. I'm sick. I'm really burnt out. I've worked a lot lately. It's just life. So, but here we are, and I think it's an important topic, is one topic that means a lot to me. And I talked to Donnie a little bit about it, and I think he feels the same. But this is something we're going to talk about. It's mental health and bodybuilding. A lot of people get into bodybuilding for different reasons, where it's body dysmorphia. Me, I was the guy that went in there to get the aggression out, because I was a bad dude before, and with the gym, that turned me around. And Donnie will explain what it means to him too. But anyway, how you doing tonight, Donnie?
Not bad, man. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I just got in.
Did you really?
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
did.
said it was going to be a late night.
Yeah, it's a late night, man.
You put a lot of hours in that gym.
Yeah, but to me, it's not work, dude.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
work. I'm in gym clothes all day. I mean, it's fine.
It's your
Around
dream.
good people.
Yeah.
It is pretty much. It
And
is. It is.
and your product is progression.
Yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah,
all of your clients progress, and you get to
yeah,
watch that.
yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
kind of hard to have a bad day when you're
It,
working
it,
like
it
that.
is. It is. I am very, very, very fortunate. I
Yeah,
can
that's
I can say
awesome.
it without a doubt.
That's
which
awesome.
which has which has a positive impact on my mental health.
Yes, yes, yes. So I want to kind of start. I know I had a video, my very first video in my introduction about my history. And I'm not going to go too far into depth of my history, but my history for a third of my, or excuse me, 2/3 of my life was prison, jails, drugs, alcohol. I was a bad guy, is what I was. Crime, all that stuff, and but deep down, being older and my mind not diluted like it was, I've realized that what it was I had mental health problems. I had no way to get my aggression and anger out. And for whatever reason, as a kid, I always had aggression and anger. That was always a part of my life. And so I would, use different things to try to take care of it. And that was drugs and alcohol, violence and, stuff like that. And that didn't work. It could put me in places I didn't want to be. And then I found, well, in the place that I didn't want to be, in prison, I found weights, and I knew that was something that would change my life. So I cut off my hair. I used to have dreadlocks for 10 years, 10 plus years. I had dreadlocks down to here. So that was my first, and I don't know why, did this, but I cut those dreadlocks off, and that was my change. And so I changed the exact opposite of how I am now, and never wanted to be weak again, because that was weak what I was doing, and I didn't want to be weak again. So that's why I picked up the weights. And I mean, to make a long story short, for me, the gym, man, I have a lot of bad days. And when I have a bad day and I go see Donnie, or I'm by myself or whatever, I rip it up in the gym. I get the best workouts, and I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not hurting myself, and it's positive, Uh, so in that aspect, for me, that's the mental health thing that works for me. I never really had a body dysmorphia problem. Of course, I wanted to have muscles and stuff. When I look at other people that had muscles, I wanted that too, but I didn't even know how to get it. But it wasn't a priority for me. So it wasn't really that. It wasn't because I got picked on. None of that was the factor. But what it is now is it's a release. It's a release for me. And without that, I don't know what else I would do. I'm sure there's something else out there, but I don't know it, and I don't want to have to try to find it. So we keep on doing what we're doing. Uh, uh, I have some knee issues now with tendonitis, and Donnie taught me his time under tension, which cured that for me. If I can't do leg extensions one day because of my stupid knees, guess what I could do? I can still train. So that's awesome for me. There's always a way. But in short, that's kind of my story and how I got into bodybuilding and why I'll never stop and why it's a part of my life now. Donnie, what was it for you?
So backing up a little bit, there's some things that crossed over that it was some things kind of similar to yours, but I was a fat kid.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't fat by today's standard. I'm talking about, fat in the early 70s would be, I guess it would be an after photo, with a lot of kids and stuff now, But
Yeah.
I was a chunky kid, and there was just, I had a defining moment to where I was just really teased, and I just vowed at a very early age, 11 years old, that would never happen to me again, you know, and so I'm looking for ways to do it. I didn't know how to do it, and I know I talked to my dad, and he was like, "Well, maybe you need to get a Joe Weider magazine or Joe Weider." Nobody knew how to say it back then, and so I was a collector of comic books at the time, and I found a Joe Weider because I got a Charles Atlas first, and it wasn't the look that I was looking for. There was those guys who were more like athletes, And when I finally got that Weider, and it's amazing how it just locked in at that moment. The minute I opened that magazine, the second I opened that magazine, it just changed my entire path. You know,
Yeah.
it's like I had a path at that point and stuff, and there was nothing that was going to take away from it and stuff. And bodybuilding has been, and since then, bodybuilding has been pivotal to my mental health. I mean, it's especially when you're in shape, when you're in really good shape, you got that air of confidence. I mean, you. I just feel very accomplished, especially when I'm like in really good shape. I feel like that all the time and stuff, but because I really don't let myself really go on the off season and stuff. People can still see that I'm a bodybuilder. I'm competing and everything and stuff, but I just like the air of confidence that you get, And one of the things I said when I was a kid is when I looked at Dave Draper and Rick Wayne and Leroy Coben and all those guys, to me, they commanded respect without even having to do anything,
Yep.
just being there, And that's what I wanted right there was, so I don't have to do anything to prove, or to garner any respect. I can just show up, and it happens and stuff, you know. And then, just the act of training and stuff itself, because actually it takes stress to manage stress, and so it's just controlled stress is what it is. It's controlled aggression, which helps, mitigate or helps taper or helps manage the stress that you feel just in everyday life and stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of people, that I've known, that they've gotten through some really rough times, just in the weight training. I mean, they just buckle down and they just hit the gym. I'm the same way. Went through some really bad relationships and stuff, and the weight training, because the weight training just helped out. It really did. It got me through a lot of the tough times and stuff. So from a physical aspect, yeah, that's what you think about, because that's what you see. But the mental side of it, it's intangible. You don't really see it. You don't really feel it. So you have to talk about it,
Yeah.
in order to realize it. You know what I mean? But
That's
yeah,
right.
we benefit just as much mentally as we do physically.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. It's kind of off topic, but you got me thinking about it.
Okay.
Well, okay. So when we're in contest prep, we're looking our greatest, right? And you're just like, you're just like, yeah, your confidence is way up. You feel like crap, but you feel up here too at the same time. And then in off season, and man, I look kind of flat. I'm not, my abs aren't there. Your confidence goes down a little bit, and I know it
Oh yeah.
happens with everybody. And I stay pretty lean. Always have a 6-pack, but I have an 8-pack when I'm on prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
I get it.
how do we deal with that? Do you have any ideas about that?
So it, you know, I I was training. I started training in 71, but I didn't get my first contest until 76. There are some people, it just depends on why they're coming in it. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw bodybuilding before I actually started competing. I just saw it as, a means of staying healthy, of being healthy. I figured bodybuilders looked the way they looked all the time and stuff. I didn't realize that there was an off season at that point in time. I hadn't competed yet,
Yeah.
and so, but then you have some people, they come in strictly for the competitive side of it, and so, they, and once the competitions are over with, they just power down, they're not seeing it as a continuation, as when they stop competing and stuff, and that's when they're actively competing, they just completely shut down, and then when they get ready to compete again, then they'll start back up, and it's almost like starting all over again and stuff, But
Mm.
but I kind of pretty much stay on pretty much all the time. We don't really deviate that much,
No.
because to us it's more than just about the contest. I can tell you right now, once I stop competing, I'm still going to continue to do what I'm doing, training and doing the meals and all the other stuff. I'm going to continue to do that long after I stop competing and stuff. Some people aren't like that though.
Really, I didn't know. I didn't know that. I guess if I would have put some thought into it, I would have figured that out. But because I stick with the eating and all that. I think the off season is the most important part. I mean, for building a physique is if you're, especially if you're younger, but if you
Right,
you go do
right.
your show and then you flake off the rest of the year, you go do a show, you didn't change any from last year to this year, you know, uh, and it takes a lot of time to grow and
It does
to
take time. It
grow
takes
that
time.
mature looking muscle.
Even even to develop, not even we don't even have to put growth in there, but just to get the development. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's so important, but yeah, I mean it makes sense. I mean prep is hard. It's hardcore. For anybody and everybody. I don't know anybody who would say it's easy. It's not easy, and for some people, I think people's pain thresholds are different than others. And maybe that's what it is. That person for whatever reason is it's extremely hard for them,
right.
and so they shy away from it until whatever. But yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, this isn't a big problem for me because I stay pretty lean, but you know, I, I'm taking more pictures and stuff when I'm conditioned,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
than I would be now. Yeah, I still take pictures and I'm looking at myself and posing and stuff, but man, when I'm in that zone though, I'm on top of the world. And I love that feeling.
And there's I mean there's a flip side to the mental aspect of bodybuilding. Like I said, it definitely it's great for the self-esteem. It's great for self-confidence. It allows it allows us it allows sets. To me, sets are like practice runs at life.
Mhm.
Every set is an adversity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You start and things getting heavier, things are getting harder. Now you got to push yourself, to make it past these rough spots and stuff. And believe it, that's just a microcosm of life, though. That's a microcosm of situations in life. You know what I mean?
All
You know,
situations.
it's a great way to it's a great way to address other stress factors in your life by going through those sets and going through that adversity, because a set is just it's adversity is what it is.
Yeah.
And as a trainer, I can tell a lot about a person just by how they take out a set. you
Really?
know you know
Explain explain this to me.
well, perfect example is you. Remember when we first started? Remember the minute it hit, you was shut down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Remember that,
yeah.
especially on benches. I remember that we would do benches, and you get the couple, like the last two, and you get those, and you would get started, and the minute it's you, the I guess the adversity was too great, you would just shut down. I don't know whether it was just a subconscious, the whole nine yards, but you don't do that anymore now.
Huh.
You actually fight through the set. You'll
Yeah,
finish the sets. You know.
yeah,
You don't
yeah, yeah,
remember that
yeah.
when we first started?
Yep, I know
Because
exactly what you're talking about.
there was a big to do about it and stuff,
Yeah.
and so that's just one of the things that I'm talking about is sets or adversity, and basically what they do is they can really prep you for other adversities going on in your life and stuff. And so, you know, I mean, there's a lot of positive on the mental side, and then there's some negative because you know you've got the dysmorphia, you know, and whether it's big orexia or small orexia, or you know, you know, we sometimes we can get a little carried away with body fat, and we can get overly obsessive about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That body
yeah.
fat level and stuff, you know, and so yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to the mental side of bodybuilding, but that's with anything though.
Do
It's
you
with
think?
anything.
Do you think that the you know, the thinking you're small or think you know, because it seems like it's a to me it's a sport of goals that I'll never complete fully. You know, I'm just chasing
True,
after them because
true.
there's always going to be something like, oh man, my shoulders going to be a little bit more rounded. My calves, you know what I mean. There's never an end to it in my mind.
I you know I I I was going through dysmorphia before I even started bodybuilding and stuff. I would see pictures of myself. People would take pictures of me, and I didn't realize that I was that chunky.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of figured I was a little chunky, but I didn't realize I was as chunky as I was. I didn't. So, you know, I had dysmorphia with that, you know, and even now I have a little bit of dysmorphia because, you know, I mean, I don't see myself as being as big as people kind of portrayed or think that I am. You know, I
Yeah,
don't see it. You know, I just don't see it. So,
I heard that, and that blows my mind because
For sure.
yeah,
you're huge,
you know,
dude.
I
You're a
just,
tank.
yeah, I don't, you know, I mean,
But
it's it.
I hear what you're saying because I feel the same way about myself too because I get that all the time too, and you know, especially on some days I don't feel it. You know, I'm like, yeah, well, thank you, but you know,
Yeah, you know, so and that's just part of the mental aspect of it and stuff. But I tell you, it really has it has a profound impact on hormonal um, elements. You know, I mean, you know, dopamine and serotonin
yes,
and you
yes,
know endorphins and stuff. All that stuff can be triggered through you know weight training. You know, you get finished with a really good workout and stuff. I mean, you're practically floating.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
and
I yeah,
that also helps with mental health and stuff. You know,
it
and
does.
I think that's why you know sometimes training can get so addictive because basically you know you're forcing the body to release these feel good hormones, but that's basically what alcohol and cocaine and all the other stuff does. It does the same thing. You know, it's
Yeah,
just that you're doing it orally here, and with bodybuilding you're doing it. It's mechanically because you know you're working out and stuff. So yeah,
you know, like kind of runner's high, kind of
yeah, it
deal.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like I said, on those bad days that I have, I go tear it up in the gym, and you know, I'm floating
And
after
how do
that.
you
I mean,
feel afterwards?
yeah, and it takes forever for me to fall asleep. I'm not probably going to sleep till 11 or midnight that night just because I'm so jacked up and wired because of my good workout. You know.
Mhm. I had my training studio downtown, and I can tell you with it, unequivocally, you know, because I trained the whole day. But the clients that trained the hardest came and trained with me during their lunch period
Huh.
because they're in the middle of work. It's everything is stressed, the whole 9 yards, and then they come in and they're stewing in all that cortisol, and
All
they
right.
just tear it up. Every
All
single
right.
time they tear it up and stuff. And I mean, it's actually noticeable. You mean in the morning, you know, don't get me wrong, everybody trains hard. You know, everybody trains hard, everybody trains good. In the evening, you know, I get it too, but that 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 lunch period, boy, it's up a notch. It's clearly up a notch. It's because they're just so stressed out. You know, it's not like that all the time, but you know, it happens mostly during that time because they're in the middle of work. You know, they're maybe in the
Huh.
middle of a project or something like that. You know, and they're stressed out. And you're right, they're ready to tear some stuff up, and that's what they do.
Huh. And they come back to work with a smile on their face.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
ready to go. Yeah.
And yeah, that's another element of the mental health of it.
Yeah. Boy, yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, I wouldn't have known in the past that it could have this kind of impact on me. You know, I guess I never gave it a chance, but for me, man, it's saved my life. It's kept me on the straight and narrow. You know, it's structured my life. You know, I have a structure to my life. You know, I work hard. You know, and I have one speed on everything I do. You know,
I will be,
hard.
yeah, it does add that structure. You're right
Yeah,
about that.
and I mean, even when I was using and being a dumbass, I had one speed. I still did it hardcore, hardcore and everything. Works hardcore, training's hardcore. I do everything hard and to the fullest. I've always been that way.
You're an overachiever,
And
that's for sure.
and you know, it just kept me focused. It's kept me with goals. It's kept me with I mean, the list is huge of the things that it's done for me, you know, for bodybuilding and stuff. And I don't have to win the Mr. Olympia or do any of these big titles or anything like that. You know, I mean, I want to strive for that. That's my goal. But you know, it's just the what do you call it? It's just how I'm living. You know, it's my structure in my life, and that's what it is.
Yeah. I'd say just take the advice of Dexter. Do you?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, do
yeah,
you?
yeah. And that's just the thing. I mean, even relationships. You know, you got to be comfortable with yourself and be happy with yourself before you can love somebody else and be happy with them and all that
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely.
And you know, and it helps to that. It helps with the relationship. Although bodybuilding can also ruin a relationship too.
Oh,
Because
dude, I've seen that a few times too. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
which sucks, but you know, it's the case because it's a self-centered sport. You know,
And it's all consuming.
yeah, yeah, and it's 365 days a year if you're doing it right. So it's not there's no time off. So you know, when it comes to relationships, you got to have that girl or that guy or whoever
Yeah,
that you know can support that, and that's
yeah.
important. If you don't, we got to move on because it's not going to work. If you're going to be a successful bodybuilder, I don't know. That's my piece on it. Well, you got anything else? You got anything else you want to add?
I think we just pretty much covered everything, dude.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, what I wanted to come across on this was just you know, it's not talked about too much about the mental health aspect of bodybuilding and what it does for a person. It could be bad for a person too. You know, you get the wrong person in there. I mean, there's several things that could happen that could go bad for bodybuilding, but
True.
you know,
Yes. And like I said, that's part of that double-edged sword. That's the
it
other
is,
side
yeah,
of it. There's a flip side to it too. There's good aspects to it, and there's not so good aspects to it. So
yeah. But I mean, I got on this topic because of Flex Wheeler actually back in the day when he was going to Gold's Venice and he
hmm
was like the man of the gym and you know everybody confidence way up high. And once he left that gym, he's depressed and you know suicidal thoughts, trying to kill himself all the time. You know, and that's what happened with him. And that gym for that period of time he was in there, he was gold. You know,
and see, and like I said, I think these are the guys and gals, or these are the folks that you know. Flex got in it from what I've heard and from what I read and stuff. You know, he 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 saw it as a means to make money and to get himself out of poverty, and he
mm,
just saw it as a competitor. But he didn't. It wasn't like he didn't see it the way I saw it.
I
I
see what you're
mean,
saying.
it was a
Yeah,
lifestyle. It's something that I want to. He didn't see it like that. You got some people that they're pure competitors.
yeah,
And once that is gone, then there's a void that's got to be filled and stuff. Especially when competing at the level that he was competing in, as long as he was competing and stuff. I mean, if you're not, and the thing about it is this, he had to he was kind of forced to quit because of the health conditions that he had. So that
yeah,
was untimely. So that kind of probably T-boned him a little bit. He wasn't anticipating on quitting, getting out of the sport that soon. So you know, and so, you know, maybe it's just some things that were just untimely, and that's where he ended up. I know Dorian, I listened to Dorian's on a few podcasts, and he was really depressed afterwards and stuff. But the same thing, he had an injury, you know, and so he had to cut it short, you know. So, you know, and I think his injury, his training, is the reason he got the 6 Olympians he got. But at the same time, I think it kind of robbed him about one, maybe two of them. You know?
Same thing with Ronnie Coleman.
So
I mean, the way he trained, you know, and that, you know, and he's had how many back surgeries and neck surgeries, and
but the thing about it is this, like you said, but what he says no regrets. So, you know,
yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, exactly,
He
yeah,
says no, he said he would do it again. I'm like,
and
yeah,
I, and
that's
he
fine.
and he loves the sport so much he trains people, you know, so he's still in it just like you.
He
You know,
is.
he's in it
He
still.
is.
He doesn't have to train like we do nowadays, and all that stuff, and I'm sure he does train still, but you know,
Mhm.
that satisfaction for him is still there. It probably just took a while for it to kick in, maybe, you
Yeah.
know, because he was on top and then he wasn't. But I mean, the guy's a legend. He knows that. Ronnie's a legend. Ronnie
Yeah.
still goes to the gym.
Yeah. He
So I
does.
mean, I seen a video the other day. He's got a broken arm in a cast, and I think he was in the cast, and he's just pumping the weights away, doing leg press and stuff. So I mean, that's awesome, and that's how I would like to be. You know, I
Well,
want to be.
we're in it for the long haul. Like I said, I've already got 50 years under my belt and stuff, and you've got a few years up under your belt and stuff, quite a few
Yeah,
years up in. I don't see myself quitting anytime soon and stuff.
as long as I'm jacked when I'm your age, I'm happy. I want to look like you when I'm your age, Donnie. That's all. That I'll be happy with that. So I don't want to be a has been. That's the you know, yeah. Don't want to be a has been, and I never want to be average. Average is not part of my vocabulary. Always above average in everything I
Yeah,
do.
and I don't think anybody that's involved in our sport would be average. Even
No,
the
no,
gym
they
rats,
wouldn't
you
be.
know, I mean, you know, that don't compete and stuff. I mean, they're it takes a certain ilk to do what we do and stuff, you know, and they're not just average folks and stuff, you know.
No.
They're not.
Probably a little
What it
got a
is.
couple screws loose, maybe you know, some mental disorders, but you know, but yeah, we're not normal and we're not average, that's for sure. All right, you got anything else you want to add?
That's it, my friend.
All right, guys, we'll call it good on this video. Sorry it's a day late. Uh time's been time. I need more time in the day. But anyway, it's no excuse. We'll get it on time next week. And you know, if you guys got anything you want to add on this, is perfect topic. Spill your guts and you know, tell us what you
Oh,
think.
absolutely. Give us some feedback.
You know, we're gonna tell you an honest answer, and you know, I've been through a lot, and he's been through a lot, and we've been in the sport, and we're still in the sport, and we're still gonna do the sport. So we're in it for our own sake. It's not, nobody's telling me to do it. Nobody, I'm not trying to impress. I'm doing it strictly for me, and that's it. I like it when I impress Donnie, but but I mean, this is for me, just like it's for Donnie.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Do it because you still
your
love it. You still love it. You
your
still
own
still do
personal
it.
quest. That's what it is. But
Yep.
all right, guys, you guys have a good night. We'll see you next week with a new topic, and we're out.
All right,
All
man.
right,
Peace.
have a good night, Donnie.
Yep. You too.